Hey, hey everybody. Um, Welcome to Reading the Bible to Cats. It is still, what is it? It's November 5th in the evening, and I'm recording this the evening of election night, 6:30 p.m. East Coast time. I'm in DC. Um, so, yeah. So we'll say a prayer later about everything because I think we need it. Um, but we're going to read Judges 18, and I'm going to read it out of the Complete Jewish Bible. So, yeah, it's Judges 18, and then the Hebrew would be Shof'tim 18, or whatever the number is in Hebrew. And we'll jump. Oops. Hold on one second. I wanted the other Bible nearby so I could look at that too if I needed to. All right, let's pounce on it. Well, Henry is being super cute. Okay. At that time, there was no king in Israel, and it was also at that time that the tribe of Dan was looking for a place to claim ownership of and settle in, since they had not yet been given any land of their own among the tribes of Israel. The people of Dan sent 5 leading men from Zorah and Eshtaol. In the English, it says Zorah and Eshtaol, representing their whole tribe, to spy out and explore the land. They instructed them, "Go and explore the land." They came to the hills of Ephraim, to the house of Micah, and stayed there. While they were at Micah's house, they recognized the accent of the young man, the Levi. So they approached him and said, "Who brought you here? What are you doing in this place? What is there for you here?" He answered, "Here's the arrangement Micah has made with me. He pays me a wage, and I serve him as his Cohen, or priest." They said to him, "Please ask God whether our journey will be successful." The Cohen priest replied, "Don't worry, Adonai is with you on this journey." The 5 men left, came to Laish, and saw the people there living securely according to the customs of the Zidonim. And let me see if, sorry, it is I who's speaking, not the Bible. I'm just looking at the names to see if I'm pronouncing things correctly. I don't know. Okay, moving on with the rest of verse 7. Quietly and securely, since no one in the land was exercising authority that might shame them in any respect. Moreover, they were far away from the Sidonim and had no dealings with other peoples. Okay, it is I who's speaking. Oh, the Sidonians. That's who they're talking about, the Sidonians. Okay. Let me read that again in with the English word for that. So the 5 men left and came to Laish, where they saw that the people were living in safety like the Sidonians, unsuspecting and secure. And since their land lacked nothing, they were prosperous. Also, they lived a long way from the Sidonians and had no relationship with anyone else. So they must be near Sidon, which is in Lebanon. It is I who's speaking, not the Bible. When they returned to their kinsmen in Zorah and Eshtaol, they asked them what they had to report. They said, "Let's go up and attack them. We've seen the land and it's excellent. Don't delay, start moving. Go in and take the land. When you go, you will come to a people who feel safe. There's plenty of land. The place lacks nothing. It has everything there is on earth, and God has given it to you." So from the tribe of Dan, 600 men equipped for war set out from there, from Sora and Eshtaol. They went up and camped at Kiryat Yearim in Yehuda, which I will translate. Hold on one sec. Those words. Yeah, on their way, they set up camp near Kiryat Jearim in Judah. Okay, that's the English. Back to the verse. Repeating verse 12 again. They went up and camped at Kiryat Yearim in Yehuda, which is why that place is called Machane Dan, the camp of Dan, to this day. Actually, it's behind Kiryat Yearim. From there, they passed on into the hills of Ephraim and came to Micah's house. The men who had gone to spy out the land of Laish then said to their kinsmen, "Are you aware that in these buildings there is a ritual vest, household gods, and a carved image overlaid with silver? Decide what you ought to do." They turned off the road and went to the house of the young Levi, that is, to Micah's house, and asked how he was doing. The 600 soldiers from Dan stayed at the gate, while the 5 who had spied out the land went in and took the idol overlaid with silver, the vest, and the household gods. The Cohen priest had stayed with the 600 soldiers by the gate, but when they went into Micah's house and took the silver-covered image, the vest, and the household gods, the Cohen priest asked them, "What are you doing?" They replied, "Be quiet, keep your mouth shut, and come with us. Be a father and a Cohen for us, a priest for us. Which is better, to be a Cohen priest in the house of one man, or to be a Cohen priest to a whole tribe and family in Israel?" This made the Cohen priest feel very good. So he took the ritual vest, the household gods, and the image and went off with the people. So they turned and left, with their children, cattle, and belongings going ahead of them. When they were a good distance from Micah's house, the men who lived in the houses near his got together with him, overtook the people from Dan, and began shouting at them. The people from Dan turned and said to Micah, "What's wrong with you, that you've gathered such a crowd?" He answered, "You've taken away my God, which I made, and gone off with the Cohen priest. What more have I got? How can you ask me what's wrong with you?" The men from Dan replied, "You had best say no more to us, because some of us might get angry and attack you. You could lose your life, and so might the others in your household." Then the people from Dan went their way, and when Micah saw that they were too strong for him, he turned and went back to his house. So they took what Micah had made and his Cohen priest. They came to Laish, to a quiet and trusting people. They attacked and killed them and burned down the city. No one came to rescue them because it was far from Sidon, and they had no dealings with other peoples. This was in the valley near Beit Rekov. Then the people of Dan rebuilt the city and settled there. They named the city Dan after Dan, their ancestor, who was born to Israel. Although the city had previously been called Laish, the people of Dan set up the image for themselves. Jonathan, the son of Gershom, the son of Manasseh, and his sons were Kohanim, priests for the tribe of the people of Dan, until the day of the exile from the land. Thus they erected for themselves Micah's idol, which he had made, and it remained there as long as the house of God was in Shiloh. Everyone, that's the end of Judges chapter 18. You know, and I'm looking for study notes in this Bible on, And there really isn't one study note, which I'm surprised about. So let's look in the other Bibles for some study notes here. I'll look at the Archaeological Study Bible. Let's see what they say. I'll read these. 18, verse 1. The migration of the Danites was necessitated by their failure to capture the territory assigned to them. See Joshua's 19, verses 40 through 48, Judges chapter 1, verses 34 through 36. They traveled to a northern valley, remote and defenseless, captured it, and settled there. They conquered Laish, verses 27 through 29, and renamed it Dan. Thus originated the northern Dan, known in the expression from Dan to Beersheba. See 1 Samuel chapter 3, verse 20, 2 Samuel 3, verse 10, 1 Kings chapter 4, verse 25, and also see the study note, the migration of the Danites. Okay, we might look at that. I'll see. And then about verse 7. Laish, about 100 miles north of Zorah and Eshtaol, is called Leshem in Joshua. After its capture by the Danites, Laish, renamed Dan, became Israel's northernmost settlement. Excavations of the site show that the earliest Israelite occupation of Dan was in the 12th century BC, and that the first Israelite inhabitants apparently lived in tents or temporary huts. Although the site continued to be occupied into the Assyrian period, the town was destroyed and rebuilt numerous times. A large, quote-unquote, high place attached to the city had often been extensively rebuilt and refurbished and was in use into the Hellenistic period. The Sidonians were a peaceful Phoenician people who engaged in commerce throughout the Mediterranean world. Not feeling threatened by other powers, they sought no treaties for mutual defense. See Sidon on page 1536. I might look at that. Oh, there are a lot of study notes here. About verse 11, members of a clan accepted a communal responsibility for assistance, protection, the sharing of work, loyalty, and cooperation for the general well-being of the family in places where the nomadic life gave way to a more settled existence. Groups of villages, often interdependent and with intermarried members, formed a family, as did the Danites at Zorah and Eshtaol. Okay, one more of these little study notes. Excavations of the site indicate that Shiloh was destroyed about 1050 BC and left uninhabited for many centuries. See the destruction of Shiloh. Okay. Okay, there's this long study note about the migration of the Danites, but it kind of looks boring to me. I don't know. I'm curious about the Sidonians because, I lived in Lebanon when I was a kid. I've told you that, because my dad was in the Foreign Service, and we were pasted. We were posted in Beirut. But this note, well, I guess I'll read it. What have I got to lose? Okay, Judges 18. And if it's boring, you can just fall asleep to this video. I'll try and read it with a relaxing voice. The migration of the Danites. The tribe of Dan was unable to occupy its assigned allotment west of Benjamin. The Danite chose, and that's from Joshua chapter 19, verses 40 through 46, and Judges, or Shof'tim, chapter 1, verse 34. The Danites chose to migrate to Laish, which they renamed Dan. This took place after the time of Deborah in the late 13th century BC, around the time of the destruction of Shiloh. Excuse me. Around 1100 BC, the incursion of the Philistines into the southwestern coastal plain in approximately 1177 BC may have precipitated the migration. Laish Dan has been identified as Tel el-Qadi, now called Tel Dan, at the foot of Mount Hermon, approximately 25 miles north of the Sea of Galilee. Oh, and side note from, I just want to say this book, the Bible, this study Bible was published in 2005, so it's old. So there may have been new discoveries since then, but I'll keep reading. Excavations have revealed a prosperous late Bronze Age city that was destroyed by fire early in the 12th century BC, most likely by the Danites. See verse 27. Laish had a strong connection, perhaps as a partner in international trade, with coastal Sidon, approximately 28 miles to the northwest. The most impressive discovery in the destroyed city of Laish was a tomb containing imported pottery from Greece. After the destruction, a nomadic or semi-nomadic culture occupied the site. This culture is distinctive for its use of pits, apparently dug for storing grain. Large storage jars, as well known from the highlands where they are associated with Israelite settlement, were located in the pits. The jars were fashioned from clay not native to the Tel Dan area, indicating that the new settlers had brought them from elsewhere. Archaeologists have identified this new culture as that of the Danites. This tribe soon became urbanized, however, and built a dense array of domestic and industrial structures across the site. Verse 28. The stratum was destroyed in a fierce conflagration in the mid-11th century BC, possibly at the hands of the Philistines. At the same time, Shiloh was destroyed. Okay, that's the end of that note. And let's turn to page 1536 because there's a note on Sidon which I might find interesting. 1536. Somebody's snoring. And I think it's Guster. Look at that belly. Sorry. I mean, Henry. Henry. I always get their names mixed up. Sorry, Henry. Okay. Sidon. Okay, we'll read a little bit about the Sidonians. This note pertains to Sidon and Zechariah 9. Sidon is located at a natural harbor on the coast of Lebanon in ancient Phoenicia between Tyre and Beirut. It was, in fact, one of the oldest and most important cities in the region. Sidon's prominence is reflected in the fact that it is mentioned in Hittite, Ugaritic, Egyptian, and Assyrian records. The Sidonians were engaged throughout their long history in fishing, seafaring, commerce, and the manufacture of purple dye. An enormous mound of murex shells from which this striking dye was extracted still exists in modern Sidon. Its inhabitants were also known for their fine craftsmanship. They produced beautiful works in materials such as ivory and silver. References to Greater Sidon in Joshua 11, verse 8, and 19, verse 28 reflect a precise knowledge of the name of the town. The Assyrian record of Sennacherib's campaign in 701 BC states that he captured both Greater Sidon and Little Sidon, quote unquote. When Joshua divided the promised land, Sidon was allotted to the tribe of Asher, but this tribe was unable to drive out the Sidonians. Judges chapter 1, verse 31, Judges 3, verses 1 through 3. Later, during the divided monarchy period, Ahab married Jezebel, daughter of Ethbaal, king of Sidon, in a union that resulted in the introduction of pagan worship into the northern kingdom. 1 Kings chapter 16, verses 31 through 33. The prophets Jeremiah chapter 25, verse 22, and chapter 27, verse 3 through 6, and Jeremiah chapter 47, verse 4. Ezekiel chapter 28, verses 20 through 24. Joel chapter 3, verses 4 through 8. And Zechariah chapter 9, verses 1 through 2. All pronounced judgment against Sidon. She was among the cities God had given to Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon. Jeremiah chapter 27, verse 6. And a text excavated at Babylon lists the king of Sidon among Nebuchadnezzar's captives. Sidon was also a center for the Persian fleet during the reign of Xerxes. Excavations at ancient Sidon have been limited by recent military hostilities, as well as by urban development. Recently, there have been indications of the possibility of excavating remains of ancient Sidon under the sea. Greek historians indicate that in 146 BC, the city was struck by an earthquake which caused a large portion of it to sink beneath the sea. Oh, that's interesting. Well, I kind of wonder if Sidon is near Tyre. Now I have to look that up, everybody. Hold on one second. Is Sidon near Tyre? And I should know because I lived there, but I was a kid. Is Sidon near Tyre? Let's see. Yeah. This is an AI overview. It says, yes, Sidon and Tyre are near each other in the Bible and in real life. This is AI. Maybe I should read it like Siri. I don't know if I can do that. Or I can read it like AI would read it. In the Bible, both Sidon and Tyre I can't do it, are important cities. In the Old and New Testaments, the Bible mentions that Sidon would be destroyed along with Tyre because the two cities were partners in corruption. Jesus also visited both cities, preaching and performing miracles for the Gentiles there. Gentiles. Okay, I shouldn't be silly. Let me see, because now I can't. I totally messed up what AI was saying here. Let's see. So what? The Bible mentions that Sidon would be destroyed along with Tyre because the two cities were partners in corruption. Jesus also visited both cities, preaching and performing miracles for the Gentiles there in real life. Sidon and Tyre are both located in Lebanon, with Tyre about 20 miles south of Sidon. Tyre and Sidon were two of the most powerful Phoenician cities in the ancient Near East. Tyre was a major Phoenician seaport from around 2000 BCE through the Roman period. The region where Tyre and Sidon were located had a long history of paganism and opposition to the Jews. Thank you, AI. You are welcome. Anyway, I hope that wasn't distracting. I am always distracted, by the way. But no, I lived in Lebanon, so I've been to Tyre, as a child, and I'm pretty sure Sidon. Anyway, like I've said before, I really loved Lebanon as a child, even though it was a time of conflict and we had to be evacuated from there. But, as a kid, I wasn't really in tune with what was happening. All I knew was one day my dad wasn't Jewish. My mom was. My dad came in, and this will give away my age, I'm sure, because this was the early 70s. I'm old, people. I'm old. Anyway, it was the early 70s, and my dad came in and he said, he put his hands on my shoulders and he said, whatever you do, do not let anyone know that your mother is Jewish. And I was like, okay. And he didn't explain why. And I don't think I even knew she was Jewish, frankly. I don't even know if I knew what Jewish was. But I have that memory. But it was a time of, there was one morning, I remember it was a sunny morning and I woke up and it was thundering, and my brother was eating breakfast um in the kitchen, and I walked over and I said, David, isn't it odd that it's sunny out and yet it's thundering? And he just looked at me and he said, those are bombs dropping, idiot. That was literally what he said to me. So, needless to say, there was a lot going on there in Beirut at the time, and we were evacuated. But before the trouble really escalated, I just remember feeling like it was so special there. For some reason, Lebanon, they called it the Paris of the Middle East, and I think they also called it the Pearl of the Middle East. But just the Mediterranean was beautiful. The mountains were beautiful. The cedars of Lebanon. I just felt like it was a really special place. But like I've said before, I did experience it. I do have a bad memory from that time, which I won't share because it's traumatic, and it had to do with a kitten, which I never got over this incident that happened there. But I'm sure the Lord is working it out for me somehow. But anyway, that's enough about me, people. Back to Judges chapter 18. Judges chapter 18. I want to look in my other study Bible. This is going to be a long video. But let's see. I want to see if there's anything. Because Judges chapter 18 was kind of an unusual chapter. Let's see if this one says something about it. This is the NIV First Century Study Bible, so let's see if they say anything about 18. Was Samson successful? Though Samson performed many heroic feats of strength, they appear to have had little bearing on the security of his own tribe. The narrator carefully pointed out that the Danites, Samson's tribe, I didn't know that. I didn't know Samson, that was his tribe. Samson's tribe had not yet come into an inheritance. In fact, the Danites proceeded to attack a peaceful city and worship idols. See verses 27 and verse 31. One wonders if Samson's own personal failures were far more reaching in the biblical mind. Okay, about verse 7, Laish. The journey northward to Laish was about 100 miles from Zorah and Eshtaol. Verse 2. Laish is called Leshem in Joshua chapter 19, verse 47, after its capture by the Danites. Laish was renamed Dan, verse 29, and it was Israel's northernmost settlement. See chapter 20, verse 1, 1 Samuel chapter 3, verse 20, 2 Samuel 3, verse 10. Excavations there have disclosed that the earliest Israelite occupation of Dan was in the 12th century BC, and that the first Israelite inhabitants apparently lived in tents or temporary huts. Occupation of the site continued into the Assyrian period, but the town was destroyed and rebuilt many times. A large high place attached to the city was often extensively rebuilt and refurbished and was in use into the Hellenistic period. This Bible seems to have cut and pasted from the other Bible because this study note sounds just like the other one. Okay, about verse 7, Sidonians. They were a peaceful Phoenician people who engaged in commerce throughout the Mediterranean world. About verse 7, had no relationship. They did not feel threatened by other powers and therefore sought no treaties for mutual defense. About verse 31, all the time the house of God was in Shiloh. See Joshua 18, verse 1. For Shiloh's destruction, see Psalm 78, verse 60, Jeremiah chapter 7, verses 12 through 14, and 26, verse 6. Archaeological work at Shiloh indicates that the site was destroyed circa 1050 BC and was left uninhabited for many centuries. Okay, that's it. But I kind of wanted more of a read on the spiritual significance of Judges chapter 18. And I guess it maybe just is in keeping with the theme of this book, which is, there was no king and everyone did what was right in their own eyes. It sounds like they just, that priest, and Micah and the Danites, they just kind of did what they wanted. And I don't know. They were worshiping other gods and they were worshiping, I don't know, silver and household gods. And it was like this weird combination of Judaism with some paganism mixed in. Okay, well, I guess let's say a prayer. Look at how cute Henry is cleaning himself without a care in the world. Okay. Well, I have my TV on, which I haven't had on. I said I wasn't going to watch anything, but I guess I am kind of watching. And it'll be interesting who, whatever happens. Okay, well, let's say a prayer. Lord, I just lift up this election to you and pray that you put in, I don't know, the person that you want in office. But I do pray for our country, Lord, that whoever wins would lead under your guidance, that they would, not lead us astray, but lead us according to your will. But we ultimately know, Lord, that you are our King, that you are sovereign over all the earth, and that, kingdoms rise and fall, as we're reading in the Bible, and nations rise and fall. But I do pray for my nation because I do like it here so far, although it has some deep issues which are very unsettling, which I would like to bring before you and ask you to take care of, especially, I don't know, especially this anti-Semitism that's so creepy. We just pray, Lord, that you shed your grace on the USA. And I just pray for peace. For peace. Pray also for the peace of Jerusalem and for the peace of Israel. And I know the U.S. is really, we're nationally, close to Israel. And, as Israel is our close friend. So I just pray that we would continue to be a good friend to Israel. And I pray for the hostages that they would be set free soon, Lord. Give them strength. I pray for all the war-torn areas, Lord, for the hurting people and animals, for healing, for your healing touch, for your light in dark places to just Bring your light and extinguish the darkness, Lord. Pray for everyone who's watching or listening that you give them peace. And I'm sure lots of people are on edge because of this election. So I just pray for your peace to go out and help us to just trust in you and not in politicians, man, and in princes. And you know what I mean? Like your word says, just to put our trust in you. Because your unfailing love will not be shaken or removed, and your covenant of peace will not be removed from us as your people. We pray all these things in Jesus' name, in Yeshua HaMashiach's name, the Messiah's name. Amen. All right, everybody. Did you like my impersonation of AI? I don't know if it was that good. I'll try and say goodbye as AI would. No, I can't do it. Let's see. Goodbye. Goodbye. No, I can't do it. Never mind. I'm not a very good impersonator. I can't do impersonations, really. All right, everybody. Talk to you later.